Hey, what's up, Global Village? Okay, so Israel has just murdered another 20 odd civilians by bombing Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, and they used a technique called the doubletap, which they learnt from the American military. So this actually was caught on video several months ago when they bombed a small courtyard and they injured a young child. And several nearby people rushed out from their houses to give aid and help to the victims. And then the same location was struck again, causing dozens more people to be killed and maimed. Ostensibly people who were just rushing out to try and help the injured from the first hit. And likewise, this particular attack was also caught on video, so it's completely undeniable. And in typical fashion, the BBC did what all mainstream media has continued to do right throughout this entire nightmare, which is to mindlessly regurgitate Zionist talking points. And in this particular case, because they were caught red-handed, Israel simply claimed it was an accident. Now, I just want to point out how absurd that is, because it was a double tap. In other words, they struck the exact same location twice, and it was a hospital, and you want us to believe that that was an accident, in which they also killed another 5 journalists, something we know that Israel absolutely despise, because, we can't have people reporting the true horrors of what they are actually doing to the people of Palestine. Israel has had a long and storied history of killing journalists, and they've simply turned the dial up to 11 since this assault on Gaza began. So the thing I really want to point out here is that we must boycott mainstream media. So there's an excellent channel here that I listen to called The Rational National, and I just want to play a small clip from it, which indicates how the BBC again has just mindlessly repeated Israeli talking points, which in this case, because they got caught red-handed, they're just claiming it was a mistake. So anyway, let's just listen to this piece.
The Israeli military, as you probably heard me say there, the IDF, have said they are going to investigate. They do not intentionally target people who are not involved in the conflict.
Well, I hope the BBC will acknowledge that those statements hold no weight at all these days. Those statements saying they are not responsible, they have not meant to do this, has not been borne out by any of the multiple witness statements coming out from healthcare workers and many other people coming out from Gaza. These are deliberate acts. They have been deliberately targeting hospitals. They have been deliberately killing healthcare workers. They have been deliberately abducting and detaining illegally and torturing healthcare workers. So those statements mean nothing to me, and I would hope sincerely that the BBC will recognise that as well.
Well, we're just reporting what the Israeli Defence Forces have said. And they're also, of course, as you will know, they've said many times in the past that hospitals in Gaza have been used by Hamas for military purposes.
Yes, and the BBC will also know that they've interviewed multiple healthcare workers from this country and others who have said there is no evidence whatsoever to support those claims. And indeed, the BBC will also know that the evidence provided by Israel has not been remotely verifiable and not remotely credible. So I think that needs to be acknowledged publicly by our media.
You literally have a video of the Israeli...
I mean, Israel say they're going to investigate themselves. I mean, this is what we've been hearing since this conflict began, and long time before it. Israel always investigates itself for its own crimes. And these investigations never result in anything being done. It's an absolute joke. How can any legitimate country claim time and time again that it's going to investigate itself and then subsequently do nothing, which they've been, which is rhetoric that's probably been going on for decades. And mainstream media can just uncritically continue to regurgitate these kind of talking points. And likewise here, they just regurgitate that it was a mistake, as if that has even the remotest credibility. It's time mainstream media started calling out this bullshit for what it is. That Israel are intentionally targeting civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, including the deliberate assassination of journalists. War crimes in every definition and sense of the word. But of course, if they actually did that, it would put unbearable pressure on governmental bodies to actually sanction Israel for what they're doing, because they would be legally obligated to do so. So mainstream media will simply not call these war crimes, will simply not call a spade a spade. Because at the end of the day, we're all about manufacturing consent for a genocide. It's a disgrace. It just goes on and on. The nightmare will not end. And I guess all I can really do is just point out the emperor has no clothes. Bendy out.